So, a very, very warm and cold winter evening to Wealth Resonance, a taster evening on money somatics. Now, I'm really curious for those of you that have decided to join me here this evening or to watch this on the recording into the word somatics, because for some of you, this word may be quite familiar. For others, it may be a completely new language. It was for me around six, yeah, about 5, 6 years ago. And somatics is body work. So some of you might have done some money mindset work. You might have read a bunch of books. I hear that someone wrote a pretty good money mindset book called It's Not About the Money. Just saying. And, somatics is really taking this work into a much deeper place. It's about understanding where money actually sits in our body, how we experience that through our lived experiences, through the feelings and the emotions that come up around money. And that's what we're really going to be diving into in this session today. And by the end of this little taster session, I'm going to try and give you as much experience of this somatic work in the next sort of 60 to 90 minutes. We're going to go for around 60 minutes in terms of the taster session, and then I'm going to spend 10 minutes at the very end just sharing some information with you about our Wealth Resonance online experience program that's coming up across November and December. And then we're going to go into some questions at the end of the session as well. And so by the end of this first 60 minutes, you're going to really lean into this experience of mapping your unique money story in your body. And we're going to do this very gently. It's going to be curious. It's going to be a bit of fun as well. And it may, for some of you, be the very first time that you have really understood how money lives in the body. So I'm really excited for you to dive into this with me this evening. We're going to also talk through emotional freedom technique, which is the actual somatic tool that I am trained in. I trained 5 years ago in emotional freedom technique. I'm actually just about to qualify as a trainer as well. And heart breathing is my own modality, which I created and have used in all of my programs over the last 5 years or so. Some of you may have had some experience of heart breathing with me, and this is really about re-regulating the nervous system and feeling safe in the body when we go into these conversations around money. Very useful if you're about to go have a conversation with money with your partner or about to dive into your own money stuff. This is a great little tool that you can access. So I'm going to be sharing a little piece of that with you as well this evening. So essentially you'll walk away with a little mini toolkit. And we're going to really learn to recognize those physical sensations in the body that actually do drive our decisions around money. So a little intention setting for this session. And I'm really curious to know why you are here. What is it that has called you into this work? So just take a moment to reflect on that and notice anything that comes up. So is there an immediate overwhelm of, oh, I don't really know why I'm here. I'm here because of this, and this. Or maybe there's a softness with this invitation. But why are you here? What has called you into spending this next hour of your time together? And I want to simply start with acknowledging something. Right now, some of you might be feeling that familiar knot, the one that shows up when we're talking about money. Maybe you're already starting to sense this feeling in your body. And here's what I really want you to know and acknowledge before we start this work is that these feelings, these experiences, your own experiences, are not problems to fix, right? This is simply information that your body is giving you, your mind is giving you. And tonight, we're not going to think our way out of this. We're not going to think our way out of this, right? It's not a problem to fix. So we're not going to positive mindset our way into solutions. We're not going to do anything about it, right? We're just going to listen. And for some of you, you might be breathing a big sense of, release, right? We're not here to do anything this evening. And for some of you, I know that you are here because you want to dive deeper. And I will, as I explained earlier, just spend a few minutes at the end of this taster session, if I may, just sharing with you some really exciting news with you about a new cohort we are opening up in a few weeks' time for a 6-week live multidimensional pathway around money. So I'll share that with you at the very end. Now, why does this work matter? And I'm talking here about why does this money work? Like why does it matter now as a collective? So there'll be some individual reasons why you are here, but collectively there is a lot going on with money. And you may have already started to sense this. You know, we have been taught generationally, societally, that money is about managing it, it's about controlling it, it's about suppressing the emotions that sit around it. You know, don't worry about money, right? We're told to suppress these emotions. And that making money also is very prevalent in the online space, has been for some years now. And it's a very yang energy. It's a very masculine energy. You know, do, control, control, control. And there's a lot of conditioning and power that sits around money. We only need to flick on the news to be able to see what's happening in those power systems around the world. And what that's done is it's left us feeling disconnected. It's left us feeling quite isolated. It's left us feeling like we're not able to really fully accept and just be with what we already have. And so we try and think our way out of these emotions. And what we therefore do is we push the emotions away. Let me know if you're listening live to this, if you resonate with what I'm sharing here. And I really think we've got it all wrong. You know, we've been trying to think our way into money solutions. We've been trying to do our way out of nervous system dysregulation. You know, we've been trying to control what needs to be felt. And there is a big paradigm shift going on because your relationship with money isn't just living in your mind, it's living in your body. And we're going to talk more about that as we go through this evening. So we've got to stop treating it as an intellectual thing and start treating it as a somatic body experience. We're embodying these feelings, these expressions of money. And that's why we often recycle the same patterns around money as well. And it is, I think, a big issue that's going on at a societal level and generationally. You know, think about the way that your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents behaved with money. It wasn't that long ago that we as women weren't even able to open our own bank accounts without a man's permission. It was the 1960s. We could actually have our own bank account. It's not that long ago. We couldn't have our own mortgages until the 1980s without guarantors. And even in Jersey, where I live right now, women can't even pay their own tax if they're married, right? It is changing. The rules are changing. But isn't that crazy, right? There's still lots of old patterns, old beliefs, old stories, old narratives, old ways of being that are influencing how we feel about money today. And I really feel like this is creating a big paradigm shift. And so many of us get stuck in thinking our way out of these money blocks, these money problems. You know, whether that, you know, and maybe if you're listening to this live, let me know in the chat, what are some of those money issues that are coming up for you right now? Is it a fear of raising your prices, asking for a pay rise? changing jobs because actually you're not feeling fulfilled, but you're worried about financially how you're going to manage that. What is it that you are experiencing? Because your lived experience is really what matters. And that's what we need to experience to step into this new paradigm. If we're going to create a new world where money is not controlled, we've got to start internally. We've got to start with ourselves, our relationship to money. And I could geek out on this subject, right, for hours and hours, which I'm not going to do right now, but you can already start to see this shift, this paradigm shift. Think about crypto and digital currency, right? Digital currency is not owned by institutions and banks, although it's sadly heading that way right now. But that's owned by you. You can directly own Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Okay. It's not held by banks or institutions. Now think about that for a moment. There's a huge trust to be held around money if you are then responsible for that money. I know certainly for me, like having to have a little crypto physical, what do they call it? Like a dongle that I have to put like 17 PIN numbers in. And if I lose that, I can't access my crypto, right? It's a huge responsibility. And so we're taking back control to us as individuals. And then how do we move that into this collective freedom experience? So we are starting to see this shifting. And it's all of those emotions, those fears that we carry around in our bodies that create emotions. And emotions need motion. Think about the word emotions. Emotions need motion. They have to move. We can't keep them trapped in our bodies. That's why we're feeling stressed. That's why we're getting higher cortisol levels in the body. It's why people are more stressed than they've ever been before, because we're not allowing those motions to flow. So until we address money at this body somatic level, we're just going to keep recycling the same patterns no matter how much we understand intellectually in the mind. All right, so let me know what is landing for you as you're listening to this. Let me know in the chat if you're here live with me this evening, or just take a moment to write down if you're watching this on the replay. What is coming up for you as you hear and listen to this piece? Maybe there's some fear about what is money going to look like in the future? How is it going to be controlled? And I think a big part of this work is that when we think about money mindset, mindset is where our belief system, our stories, our conditioned responses live, right? Our mind is like a catalog. It's like a library of stored information. And if we think about the cells in our body, what we're made up of, our cells can actually become very addicted to certain emotions. So if you've spent years feeling anxious about money or stressed about money or worried about money or angry when other people have more than you or shameful because your belief is, well, how do I get to have all this money when other people are suffering in the world? If we've carried those feelings around money, then our body, our cell receptors have actually learned to only let in that familiar emotion. And so it will reject anything else. How many of you would just love money to be easy and in flow? I would definitely put my hand up for that, right? How many times have you allowed money to be easy and in flow? Probably very little. So we have to train the body to allow those feelings in. And that's what I'm going to show you this evening. And I'm going to show you and invite you to participate in some emotional freedom technique. Think about that word, emotional freedom. We're releasing the emotional charge away from money, right? To free your body from those patterns so that you can recreate new patterns, new feelings of joy and wonder and enlightenment and peace and joy, like all of those things at the top of this emotional spectrum. We cannot expect to go from shame to joy from just thinking about it. If it was that easy, it would be wonderful. But we have to involve the whole body, not just the mind. So, a bit of a science lesson here for us this evening. And I want to actually start with a little an invitation, if you like, to move this from listening to me to actually seeing what this feels like for you. So my invitation is I would love for you to write this statement down. I can't have more money because I can't have more money because. And if you're able to, if you're in a place to be able to say that statement out loud, I would love for you to do that right now. To say out loud, I can't have more money because. And I want you to spend a minute and a half writing down the answer to that question. I want you to list as many answers as you possibly can in the next 90 seconds. Please don't filter them. If you write something down and think, that's a bit weird, keep writing. Keep writing. And I'm just going to play a little piece of music for 90 seconds just to support us through this guided exercise. And just another 20 seconds. Okay. Feel free to continue. If this has really opened up a big part in your heart, then please feel free to continue this after this taster session. And if those of you who are live with me, please feel free, if you would like, to share perhaps one or two of those in the chat. And my invitation for you now is to put them in order. Now, when I say put them in order, I want you to do this from the body, not from the mind, right? So I want you to put your hands, your left hand onto your heart, onto your chest space. And I want you to read through your belief statements one by one. So your belief statement is, I can't have more money because. And as you read through those belief statements, I want you to notice the sensation in your body. Notice where you feel that sensation. Perhaps make an attempt to describe that feeling. It could be a tightness, it could be a heat, a temperature, it could be a contraction, a heaviness, a knot, it could be an expansion, an openness. And I want you to think about rating that on a scale of 0 to 10 in terms of intensity. So that feeling that you're experiencing, 0 being no feeling at all, 10 being the most intense that feeling could be. And go through each of those statements and rank those in order. So which is carrying the most, strongest sensation in the body, and which is carrying the least sensation in your body. And I'm just going to give you a moment to contemplate that for yourself based on your belief statements. And when you feel like you've got a vague idea or a little glimpse of an idea as to what may be at the top of that intensity, feel free just to put a circle around that on your page. If you're not sure and you're not feeling very much, please don't worry about this. Don't force it. Just be guided by the little small feelings in the body that might be going on. And for those who are live with me this evening, I would love to hear in the chat what was the one belief statement of the reason why you can't have more money in the chats. We're actually going to use a lot of these belief statements in the tapping work that we're going to do this evening. So it would be very helpful to know what that is. If you would rather share it with me privately, you can also just select my name on the everyone chat if you would rather share that privately as well. And I thank you for your courage in sharing that in this space together. I'm just going to give you a moment to type that in the chat, or if you're listening to this on the recording, to circle the top one on the intensity scale on your paper. And we're going to use these in our tapping experience very, very shortly. Thank you for all of your shares in the chat here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So before we go into this first somatic experience of using emotional freedom technique, I'm going to share a little bit about what emotional freedom technique is as well. I want to just share a very short piece here on how limiting beliefs are actually formed. Now, many of you may have heard when we're doing work around money and our relationship to money that it's about getting to the core belief, right? That's the goal, is to get to what is the core belief that I hold around money, that money is greedy, that I don't deserve to have money, I'm not good with money, you have to work hard to make money, whatever that belief is. But it's not the actual belief that really matters. It's what do you make it mean? What do you make it mean, that belief statement? So, for example, if your belief is there are people more deserving than me, so what do you make that mean about yourself? Because the belief that we carry and the meaning that we attach to that belief is what we can change, with emotional freedom technique. We get to change the meaning. And the way that we get to change the meaning is through our lived experiences. And our lived experiences are, they're like a sweet that has a beautiful wrapper around them. The wrapper that sits around the belief or the sweet is the emotion. That's the lived experience. We can change that wrapper, right? We can change the color of it. We can change how it is, how it appears. We can change how it feels. And so this is the power of emotional freedom technique, is the emotion is only there because of the belief. The sweet wrapper would not even be there if there was no sweet underneath it that needed to be protected. And that's why we want to clear the emotion through emotional freedom technique. Does this make sense? It's quite a significant shift, and one that perhaps you've not considered before this evening. So what is emotional freedom technique? Now, there is so much I can share with you about EFT, but for the purposes of this taster session, EFT, otherwise known as tapping, it is a somatic tool that is used very commonly by athletes, speakers, high performance coaches, entrepreneurs, celebrities, many people worldwide at all ages. My 2 boys use it. And it works not just with money, it works by tapping on meridian points. So meridian points come from the Chinese medicine of the energy points in the body. And some of you may have heard of acupuncture. It's very similar, but rather than using needles, we're just using tapping to actually tap on various meridian points in the body. And this is why I love EFT, because you can't get it wrong. It's not dangerous in any way. If you don't tap on the right part or you miss a part, it doesn't matter. So you're going to follow me shortly and we're going to go through a whole tapping round together, but we're going to have some fun with it, right? There's nothing you're going to do that's going to create any problems or go wrong, right? And the idea of this is that we release emotion from the body. And tapping is a bit weird, right? Because certainly when I started doing it, I was like, why am I tapping on all this negative stuff, right? All these negative beliefs around money, because I just want to start saying some positive things, right? Because it makes me feel better. Some of you might have money affirmations that you use, right? And it was really unsafe for me to stay in the stuckness, in the negative beliefs, right? But that's the whole point of EFT. So it can feel a bit weird because you're like, how is this benefiting me by tapping on all of these negative things about money, right? But it's important that we allow ourselves to experience that so that we can then go into reframing. Reframing of our emotions and our lived experiences don't work if we don't allow ourselves to actually feel what's there in the first place. Otherwise, we're just swooping it to one side, and not allowing ourselves to experience that. Okay, so it is a little bit weird. If this is the first time you've experienced it, please just know it's a bit weird. Okay, so let's do a live demonstration together of emotional freedom technique. And I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen in a moment so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. And before we get started, I also just want you to know that the goal of this is not to clear all of your money blocks in the next 2 minutes, right? This is to give you a experience of what it feels like, a taster. Okay, some of you may feel some shifts, and if you do, that's great. But that's not what our intention is, for you to just experience what this feels like. Okay, so we'll have a little bit of fun with this. So let me just stop sharing my screen just for a moment so that you can see me more clearly. Okay, great. And I've also prepared for us a little a little note here, which I'm just going to grab. And I'm going to use some of your beliefs that have come through this evening so that you actually get to experience this on your own money beliefs. Now, when we do tapping, the first thing that we want to do is to identify the problem. That's step one in emotional freedom technique. So the problem that we're going to start with this evening is, even though I have this belief that when I have more money, and then we're going to work through some of these sentences together, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So this is what we call the setup statement in emotional freedom technique. And what we do is we take this setup phrase. So even though and then we enter the money problem or any problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, so that's the setup statement. And we're going to start that setup statement by tapping on this karate chop point on the hands just here. Please forgive me if you can hear my printer going mad. My son is currently applying for some, what do they call it? Like work experience thing coming up. I think he's busy doing that next door and printing out some notes. So with tapping, it doesn't matter whether you tap on the left hand or the right hand. It doesn't matter. What's really important with tapping is that we keep tapping and we don't stop. We want to keep the flow going. Okay. And I'm just going to ask you to just follow my lead, right? So wherever I'm tapping, you're going to tap along with me. Okay. And if you are able to, please repeat what I'm saying in whatever space you are currently in. Obviously, if you're sitting at a football pitch and watching your kids play football, please maybe don't say this out loud. And you can always come back to this as a recording later as well. But if you are able to say it out loud, that is also a great part of the emotional freedom technique release experience. So you're just going to follow my lead and we're going to start on this tapping point. Okay, and we're going to start with your belief. Okay, so I'm going to use a few of these here as an example. And if I don't share your specific example, you can enter your own belief statement as we're tapping. Okay, so we're going to tap here. Again, it doesn't matter which side you do it on. Doesn't matter how many fingers you use. It's quite a gentle tap. Okay, so we're going to start here and say, even though I can't have more money because I'm destined to be poor, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, the next tapping point is on the top of the head, just on the crown. Some people like to do this with two hands, right? I personally like to do one hand, but if you would like to try what that feels like with two hands, please go ahead. And we're going to say the same statement again. Even though I have this belief that I can't have more money because I don't trust money, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Next tapping point is here on the eyebrow line. Even though I have this belief that I can't have more money because there are people more deserving than me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Side of the eye is the next tapping point where your glasses would sit. This belief that I can't have more money because money can easily disappear and can't be trusted. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Next tapping point is under the eye. This belief that I can't have more money because I will lose it. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I'm going to go under the nose. I can't have more money because money is for other people, not me. Next tapping point is on the chin. I can't have more money because everything has to be hard. The next tapping point is on the collarbone. So if you were to hunch your shoulders forward, you're looking for that little sensitive spot just under the collarbone here. This is one I actually like to do both sides. I can't have more money because then I'll have even more to lose. And we're just going to take a breath at this point, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And the next tapping point we're going to go to next is on the ribs. Just here. If you're a lady, it would be where your bra would sit. You can do this both sides, either like this, or you can cross your arms over and tap on each side like this. I can't have more money because, let's see what else is on our list. I can't be trusted to be responsible with it. All this responsibility. I'm going to come back to the top of the head. This belief that I can't have more money. And if I can't have more money, top of the eye, that means I can't provide for my family in the way that I want. That means that I can't leave my current job. I'm stuck in this job forever. Under the eye. That means that I can't invest in my business won't grow. And then I'm going to stay stuck. Under the nose. Well done, you're doing excellently. That means that I'm going to have another year of not feeling secure with money. On the chin. And if I can't do that, then I always feel stuck. I'll disappoint people. I'll never have this financial freedom that everybody speaks about. I'll stay in survival mode. Collarbone. And that leads me to feeling trapped, to feeling ashamed and really frustrated. On the ribs. And that makes me feel like a failure. Top of the head. That makes me feel unworthy and small. Top of the eye. And that makes me feel really mad at myself. Side of the eye. And that makes me feel terrified about the future. Under the eye. All this feeling and fear around money. Under the nose. I can't have more money, and that means I can't fully serve my clients because I've got my own money stuff. On the chin. I should be good with money. On the collarbone. I'm always struggling. On the ribs. I'm never consistent with bringing money in. There's always the ebbs and the flows. I'm going to do one more round. Well done. You're doing brilliantly. Top of the head. Maybe money just isn't for me. Top of the eye. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Side of the eye. I don't want it anyway. More money, more responsibility. Under the eye. People may start disliking me anyway if I have more than they do. Under the nose. How dare I even want to have more money when other people are struggling in the world? Under the chin, under the chin. Because after all, it's so hard to make money. On the collarbone. And I want you just to take another deep breath in here, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Well done, doing great. We're going to do another round now, but this time we're going to move into some reframing. Okay. So we're going to go to the top of the head. I am open to the possibility that it is easy to make money. Top of the eye. I can trust myself to look after money. Side of the eye. I am open to holding responsibility with ease with money. Under the eye. I am able to earn more than anyone in my family with joy. Under the nose. Knowing that the more money I have, the more people I can help. Under the chin. The more freedom I have, the more freedom I can give to others. On the collarbone. Having more emotional financial freedom allows me to serve at my highest level. And that feels exciting. On the ribs. My self-worth is not connected to my bank accounts. Onto the top of the head. This is the final round. It is safe for me to make more money with ease. Top of the eye. I am open to explore this feeling in my body of receiving. Side of the eye. And this feels exciting to be open to this new experience. Under the eye. For me to be the cycle breaker with money in my family generation. Under the nose. I release now all of that past conditioning that has held me in these stories. On the chin. And I invite a feeling of, and I want you to enter a feeling. What is the feeling that you want to experience for yourself right now? On the collarbone. And we're going to take another breath here. And I want you to imagine that your body is breathing in this new feeling of joy, expansion, ease, peace, safety. As you breathe in through your nose and out through the mouth. And take a moment to notice. What are you noticing? What are you noticing? What has felt like it's shifted for you? And we can stop tapping just for a moment. What are you noticing? What did you notice during that tapping experience? And remember that all feelings are welcome, not just the good ones, right? All feelings are welcome. What did you notice? And if you're listening to this live, feel free to share that with me in the chat. What has shifted for you? Yeah, lovely. Emotion starting to dissipate. Yes, feelings, emotions. And if you did notice a dissipation of some of that intensity that you were noticing at the very start, I want you to go back to your list of beliefs and the if we worked on maybe one or two or three of those today, I want you just to re-rate those on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being no charge at all, no tightness or feeling, 10 being very high. And notice whether you've seen a shift go down on that scale, remembering that that wasn't the intention of this. This was just for you to experience emotional freedom technique. But I'm curious to see whether any of you did feel any lighter. Yeah, so a real sense that I could change the generational story. Yeah, where did you feel that in your body, Janet? And then, yeah, Andrea, feeling lighter. Yeah, tightness in the chest and the throat, and then lightness and ability to take in more air. Oh, so interesting. Jules, yeah, definitely when our body is more expanded, we have more capacity, right? This is why breath work and just simple breathing, we don't breathe enough. We've forgotten how to breathe. And even just simply through the breath, our ability to expand our rib cage, expand our nervous system, it means that we're more open. And what happens when we're more open? We have more capacity to deal with things, stresses. We create more resilience. So, yeah, the breath is a really interesting one to notice. This is why I really like to incorporate breath into the emotional freedom technique itself. If you actually Google tapping or EFT, there's lots of different versions of EFT. This is the clinical EFT. And I interweave various little pieces into that from my own personal practice and my own personal experiences. So I'm just going to share my screen again just for a moment because there's another piece I want to add into this experience for us this evening. Now, in practice, when we use emotional freedom technique, the piece that I love to weave in is to go from the mind to the body to the heart. And we're going to share another little practice in a second to allow you to feel the power of your heart. Now, the Heart Math Institute in the US have done some insane research into the power of the heart. And they've actually shown that the heart actually communicates to the brain, not the other way around. So your heart has its own nervous system and it has around 40,000 neurons that communicate to your brain. Like, isn't that insane? So when you're in a state of stress or fear around money, your heart rhythm can become quite irregular, quite chaotic. And this sends all the stress signals to the brain, which then make it pretty much impossible, right, to make clear, empowered decisions with money. Have you ever noticed that? And when you consciously breathe into a slow, rhythmic pattern and focus into the heart, something really remarkable happens. The heart becomes very coherent, and that coherent heart rhythm sends safety signals to the brain, which actually switches off your stress response. And it brings us back online. It brings the prefrontal cortex, which is the very front part of our brain, back online. So it means that we can make good decisions. And heart breathing creates this real psychological state where wealth consciousness becomes possible. So let me show you what this feels like for your heart to be in a coherent place. Now, again, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen just for a moment. We're going to do about 2 or 3 minutes of heart breathing together. And I want to just play a piece of music as we do this. Let me just bring that up here. And I will share my sound, so hopefully you can hear my sound. If you can't, don't worry, we'll still create a really lovely experience. Okay, and let me just make sure I click on the right track. Okay. There we go. And there we are. That's the one I want. Okay. Let me know if you're listening to this live, if you can hear any sound in the chat. If you can't, please don't worry. Okay, lovely. So just take a moment to place your left hand onto your heart. Your left hand is your closest hand to your heart, with your right hand over the top. And I would love you to drop down your eyes. Just turn this on. And I want you to make an invitation into your heart space to bring in a memory of a time when you felt love, appreciation, or gratitude. And this may be a recent time or an old time. Just trust wherever your heart wants to take you. And I want you to imagine yourself in that moment. As you feel your heart open and expand with all of that feeling of love and gratitude and appreciation. You can bring a smile into your face as you allow your whole body to experience this right now. And take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to bring in any sounds into this experience, any smells, anything visually into your mind's eye. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste, perhaps? And thank your heart for reminding you that this feeling of love, appreciation, and gratitude lives inside of you. And it is there for you to re-experience at any moment that you need it. And just take a final breath in through your nose and out through your mouth as you bring your attention back into the room. When you're ready, beautiful. So that was a great example of just showing you that we get to access that feeling anytime we want to, right? If you're sitting in your car and there's lots of stress going around, clearly you wouldn't close your eyes during this exercise, but you can tap into the heart, right? These 40,000 neurons that are communicating directly to your brain. We get to shift the emotion in, that was probably less than 2 minutes, right? So before you open your bank statements, before you decide to send that invoice or go and ask for a pay rise or start thinking about the purpose and meaning of money in your life, drop into your heart space. Remind yourself that it is safe. It is safe for you to feel that love, appreciation, and gratitude with money. Money likes to be us to be a good steward of money, right? And when we make that invitation from our body, we get to experience joy and peace and lightness. Yeah. So let me just share my screen back again with you. And so just in the last 60 minutes, we have made an invitation into the heart. We've experienced emotional freedom technique and how allowing ourselves to sit with those beliefs can actually allow us to clear some of the energetic charge by tapping on these various meridian points so that we can then begin to shift into a new state of being when it comes to our relationship with money. And so I want you to open up some possibility here. What if every time you thought about money, your body felt like this instead of some of the feelings that were at the very start? What would be possible for you? What would be possible for you if you felt safe to ask for more money, to receive more money, and really receive it without the strings attached? What would be possible for you if you were to hold more money for yourself and for some of your own desires and dreams in the world? What would happen if you were to be able to spend money without fear of running out, to give more freely to others, to your communities, to the world? What would be possible? I would love to invite you to journal around this question. What would be possible for you? And just before we go into some questions and thoughts and insights, I want to just take a few moments to introduce you to this new paradigm of work. And I'm so incredibly excited at the prospect of diving into this in a more embodied, deep way with you over the coming 6 weeks together. And so I want to share a few pieces about wealth resonance, which is a body of work that I feel I have been birthing for a couple of years now. This isn't the first time that we have brought together some of these somatic practices, but it's the first time that we have brought together some of this work all together in one place. And so let me tell you a few pieces of information about wealth resonance, and then I'll go into some questions. So the framework that we work through in this wealth resonance container, this is not a course, it's not a you get access and you have to go watch hours and hours of work. This is 6 weeks that we have together. It's on a Monday evening. I'll go through the dates and times with you in a moment. And over that 6-week journey, we will work through the wealth resonance framework, which is a 4-step method that works us through reveal, all the way through release, re-imprinting, and resonating. And this is what that looks like. So we are going to start off by how do we bring awareness by body mapping where money sits and lives in your body. We're then going to move through into the reveal, which is around learning the foundations of emotional freedom technique. This is a toolkit that you get to use for the rest of your life, right? And not just with money. This is really going to help you to empower yourself. And then we're going to move from learning how to use emotional freedom technique to release, which is going deeper into this work. This is where we go into things like inherited emotional beliefs around money, some of the generational work. And then we go from releasing, letting go, into resonating. Resonating is about coherence. It's about bringing safety into the body. It's the foundation for all wealth consciousness. This is the new paradigm. We feel safe around money. Incredible things happen. We get to take that power back. And then we move into re-imprinting, which is where we use beautiful visionary practices. I'm a big visionary. And we get to anchor in these new money identities through a few different visionary practices. And then we move into integration. How do we ensure that you then take this body of work and live it out through your life, right? This isn't about holding you accountable to going to do things or going to watch 7-hour videos, right? This is about how do you integrate this into your life through embodiment, through rituals and routines. So that's the journey over 6 weeks. It's shifting from the old way into the new way. This is not just mindset work. We're not just working with the thoughts. We're not just working with like the practical do things around money. We're not just manifesting and sitting all up here in visionary where there's no integration. We're bringing all 4 of these dimensions together: the mind, the body, the heart, and the identity work. And that's where I believe transformation and action happens, right? We integrate all 4 of these pieces together. So it's 6 weeks of, this is with me personally, with live guided sessions. They're 90 minutes. They are all recorded if there's a week or 2 that you can't make. We would encourage you obviously to be there live if you can, but you will have access to all of the recordings for 12 months as well. So you can keep going back and revisiting those recordings as many times as you like over the next 12 months. This is a great opportunity if those of you are interested in closing off 2025 with these practices in your toolkit. The wealth resonance experience that we are running for November and December, we start on Monday, the 10th of November, and we run through until the 15th. And for this particular enrollment cohort, there is a 30% off our normal enrollments investment price. And I think you'll be very happy with the investment levels I'm going to share with you in a second. The live calls are every Monday at 7 p.m. UK time or 11 a.m. Pacific time. And they last 90 minutes to 2 hours. We say to keep 2 hours clear in your calendar just to allow any wiggle room as well. We also have a few bonuses that you'll get immediate access to, so that once you've completed some of the somatic work, you'll be ready for the practical work. I used to be a financial advisor, have been for I think 17 years. I was in the financial services space. So you'll have access to the money dashboard. This is the actual dashboard I use for my own personal finances. And this is going to help you, once you feel safe with money, to be able to give money a purpose, map that out in alignment with your values and your intentions. You'll also get access to a Tapping into Wealth bundle. These are 3 on-demand 45-minute group tapping sessions. And these are really helpful when you start tapping, because it is always great. As human beings, we love to see examples. You know, show me an example of how I would do this, and show me an example of how I would use this with this belief around money. So there's 3 on-demand group tapping recordings for you to dive into. We also give you access. This is the first time we've ever added in, actually, to our programs, an AI experience. And this is important because after the 6 weeks, I want you to feel like you've got somewhere outside of the community. You've got community support for 12 months, but I want you to feel like you've got somewhere to go for developing your EFT practices. So we've created a comprehensive library of 35 custom prompts, and there's a video demonstration that talks you through exactly how to set this up, even if you're brand new to using ChatGPT or LMM platforms like Claude. I do demos on both of those platforms, so you can choose. And this enables you to go in and set up some tapping scripts, perhaps, or to have some dialogue with your own personal AI money coach. I've been testing this with myself for the last 3 weeks, and it's been brilliant. And I've been using EFT for quite some years. So the investment for this cohort is the lowest it will ever be. And there are 2 payment options for you. One is a pay in full, normally $997 plus VAT, but for this enrollment period, that's reduced down to just $697 plus VAT, saving you £300. Or there is a payment plan over 4 months of £199 plus VAT, and that saves you around 320 odd from the original price. And so just to summarize there, so you'll get access to the 6-week Wealth Resonance experience, the money dashboard, the Tapping into Wealth bundle of 3 on-demand videos, and the AI Somatic Coach prompt library for £697 plus VAT. Couple of quick questions before I also invite some other questions that you may have. So the live calls are every Monday at 7 p.m. UK time for 90 minutes from the 10th of November through to the 15th. If you can't make it live, you can still join. Obviously, you will get more from being live in the community, and I would always encourage that. But we also welcome you to come and join us if you just, for whatever reason, aren't able to join those calls live. You can watch those on the replay, and you can use the community space to ask any questions that you may have. You have access to those recordings for 12 months. As I've mentioned, it's not a course. You're not going to open out hours of content. This is a somatic experience. So if you're already invested in other courses and programs, this isn't going to add to your load, right? As long as you can watch those recordings or join us live, that is your only commitment for this experience. It's not just for business owners, so employed, self-employed are all welcome. And this is for your own personal experience. So we do run a financial coach certification program. And in that program in January of 2026, we will be adding in this somatic toolkit to teach our coaches how to use EFT with their clients. So if that is an area that you know you want to do, then please feel free to drop me an email. I can share some details with you about the financial coach certification. If you're in the financial coach certification and you're watching this, I know some of our coaches are here this evening or are watching on the replay, you will get access to this complimentary in January for your own toolkit to use with your clients. But this experience for November and December is for your own personal journey with money. Okay. I know a few of you have had to dive off, so that's no problem at all. My apologies. I know we have gone into that extra half an hour for Q&A. But I would love to invite any questions, any other questions that anybody has in the chat space here. If you're watching this on the recording, there is some frequently asked questions at the link, themoneypanel.co.uk/wealth-resonance. So please feel free to have a look there. If there's still some questions that you would like answered, please feel free to drop me an email. I'll pop this in the chat as well for you, hello@themoneypanel.co.uk. Or obviously you can reach out to me on any of the social media channels that we may be connected to together. So just while I'm waiting for any final questions to come in through the chat, I want to just take an opportunity to say thank you so much for this time together. Thank you for the courage for showing up for this conversation this evening together. Thank you as well for being vulnerable and sharing some of your money beliefs. I really appreciate that from each and every one of you. I know that this can be a hard topic to even think about for ourselves, let alone be vulnerable enough to share with others. So I thank you for that courage. Claire's just asking here in the chat, with your clients, how long do you find the journey takes them to start seeing significant or positive tangible shifts? Yeah, great question, Claire. I would love to say, like, do a single EFT session with them and like they get significant tangible shifts. And I would say in around 95% of my one-on-one client work, they do have significant shifts, but not always. You know, I think it would be wrong of me to say and promise that one session is enough. Very often, what happens with tapping is that we tap on a belief. So maybe you tapped on a belief statement for yourself today. And what actually happens is it's a bit like an octopus, is that we start with one of the tentacles, right? One of the money beliefs that is showing up for us a lot. You know, maybe like, I don't deserve to have money because people are struggling in the world. And we clear that tentacle away, but then another tentacle kind of appears, right? And we do some tapping on that. And then another one appears until we actually get to the real core belief. Now, some clients go immediately into that core belief very, very quickly, more often than not because they've done work already on this. I've had to do recurring work on my core belief many, many times, right? Because it's not about the money. One of my biggest core beliefs is about it's not safe for me to have love and money, right? And I've had to do a lot of clearing work on that. And it's taken me 18 months, I would say, to really clear 99% of that for myself. Okay, but it's also new level, new devil. So sometimes we clear a belief, we create those shifts, and then new level, new devil, we start earning more money or making more money, and then other beliefs start to come in, right? So I think that's important, just to be really honest with that work. But I would say in like 95% of my one-to-one client work gets very tangible shifts very, very quickly. You know, in one session, you can take somebody from feeling 10 out of 10 to 1 out of 10, sometimes even 0. So I hope that answers your question, just with, you know, kind of real honesty there. Janet's asked, will the course allow to use tapping with our own clients? So if you want to be an EFT practitioner, then you may decide after Wealth Resonance to go and take a qualification as an EFT practitioner. There are many organizations that offer EFT practitioner training. If you're in our financial coach certification, you will be receiving that EFT practitioner training in the new year of 2026, because I will be at that point a trainer of EFT. I'm just finalizing my final piece on that right now. So I would say, I mean, certainly like there are lots of things that you're going to learn that you may want to incorporate into your work, but as an actual EFT practitioner, then you would need to either go and seek EFT training, or, you know, potentially come and join us in our financial coach certification pathway, and then you would receive that complimentary in 2026. If that is something you are interested in, my suggestion would be to maybe book a call with me to chat about that first, because there is a special offer for our coaches to come into Wealth Resonance for their own personal experience over November and December. So it might be worth you joining the certification and then adding in the Wealth Resonance, but as one of our coaches. I hope that makes sense. But please feel free to book a call with me. Just drop me an email and we can chat that through. Okay. Just going back to your question, Claire, I think I answered this piece. Is it working out in their career and finances? Yeah. So this work in Wealth Resonance is around money and your relationship with money. So whether you're working with clients who are employed or self-employed, it really doesn't make any difference, other than the behaviors will be different, right? Because if you're employed, it might be conversations about pay, rather than if you're self-employed, it might be more to do with charging, pricing, those kind of pieces. Okay. Yeah, you're very welcome. No worries at all. Any other questions? I'm just going to go back up. I don't think I've missed any on here. I did put a lot of thinking time as well into some of the questions that you might have. So hopefully I've answered many of those already for you this evening. But as I mentioned, if you do have any other questions that come up after this call, or you're watching this on the recording, please feel free to drop me a message on socials or on email at hello@catherinemorgan.co.uk. I personally will respond to all of those myself. So please feel free to reach out. And thank you again so much for joining me this evening. It's been my absolute pleasure to share these pieces with you. I really hope that you have been able to identify some of those money stories in the body, perhaps getting you to start thinking about going beyond the mindset work. And I really am excited to see some of you in Wealth Resonance over November and December as we close off 2025 with a new identity, a new empowered relationship with money. Thank you so, so much, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stop sharing my screen for a moment. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. You're welcome, Claire. Yeah, surprised how much came up. Yeah, well done. Well done. Yes, and no problem at all. We are open. This specific cohort is open until I think it's Thursday, the 6th of November is when we close this enrollment window. So yes, please take your time to sit with your decision. I'm a big advocate for creating that time, tune into your body, ask your body whether this feels like a good time. And yay, Tracy. Great. I can't wait to see you in there. Tracy, I hope you used your coached link from your email. If you haven't, we'll sort it out the other end. Because as an existing coach, you do get an extra discount for this personal experience. Yes. And Penn Street, lovely. I can't wait to see you. It's going to be so delicious to close off 2025. I can't believe we're like it's nearly time to put the Christmas trees up. Yeah, so excited. So excited. Well, have a lovely rest of your evening, ladies. Thank you again for listening and joining me. Love to you all and wishing you all the very best in your relationship to money as it continues to evolve into this new paradigm. You're welcome, Claire. Take care. Bye bye.